Good morning, y'all. It's Cody. Cody's Bait and Tackle, Warsaw, Missouri. Going to give a little bit of a fishing report here this morning. I got Austin McClure, Austin's guide service. He mainly does crappie and spoonbill. He was the original spoonbill live scope guide on Truman Lake and Lake of the Ozarks. He's going to talk a little bit about what's going on the upper end of Truman crappie fishing. We might talk about spoonbill in just a little bit. Getting ready, it starts next weekend. Going to be a busy time around here. Warsaw's always real busy with it. Fish are already up and moving. Water temperature is about 10 degrees warmer than normal for this time of year, so it's going to be an interesting year on that subject. I do have something I'm going to introduce here towards the end of the show. Got a lot to talk about here. It's going to be a little bit of a lengthy show. So, first of all, I want to mention the kids' catfishing crappie tournament. That is going on. I still get people messaging me every day. Is this going on? How long does it last? This tournament is from the 1st of March till the end of August. It has monthly payouts, and then it's going to have one payout for the biggest crappie and the biggest catfish at the end of the tournament. Just watch these videos, share them, get this word out on this tournament. We did have some nice crappie come in this last weekend. Had a couple big catfish come in, kids caught. A lot of people just don't, I don't know, they saying they don't know about it. So, and I've put out video after video after video on this. Get your kids out there. Let's get them kids in this tournament, get them some cool prizes. We still got a bunch of prizes. The first 36 kids are getting something. So get them in here this weekend, bring stuff in. I did put out one video on the rules and everything. There's 2 age categories, 10 and under, 11 to 15. There's a catfish category and a crappie category. That's about all I can think of. The fish can't be caught with a guide. That way it's even for everybody across the board. That's about all I've got on the tournament part. Lots of new stuff coming in the shop. I'm not going to really talk about that today other than one product, which I cannot keep up with as of right now. So I'm working with somebody else on it. It took me a while to decide what I wanted to do with it, but I think I've got it figured out now. I'm going to go on ahead and let Austin talk here about the upper end of Truman crappie report real quick.
Yeah, Cody. So the upper end of Truman right now, I've been focusing mainly kind of in the main creeks. I've been fishing halfway back to the mouth. The water coming down. There's been a lot of fish pulled just a little bit more on the back half of that mouth, or the opening of the mouth. A lot of the 8 to 12 foot of water bite. A lot of fish will be suspended up 1 or 2 foot down. You're seeing a lot of black crappie shallow. Your whites right now, we've been catching a lot of them about half, whatever water depth you're in, you're going to find a lot of those fish about halfway down
That was the same exact way on the main lake yesterday. I went in a couple of bigger creeks on the main lake. All them crappie, 30 foot of water was down 12 to 15 foot. The bait was right there. You could almost mark a line across the graph, and that's where all the bait and crappie was at too. So
yeah, if you're finding bait right now, you're going to find fish. It don't matter, like Cody does. Any kind of bait you have, crappie, catfish, they're just going to follow it in the creeks. I'm seeing, I focus mainly on that shallow water. That's kind of my specialty. I like per se that 8 to 12 foot bite right now. You can go anywhere on, above bucksaw, in that bucksaw range, and catch fish in the creeks from the mouth back halfway. If you really want to find some quality fish, push shallow. You're not going to see a lot of fish, but you might find a bigger fish here and there. But that's kind of what we've been focusing on. Some main creek channels on the edges outside on the mouths will hold some decent fish right now too, but it's just kind of been go in, start in the mouth, depending on your wind, and just fish about halfway back, and you can drop in any creek and catch fish right now with that. It doesn't really matter where you go, just drop trolling motor. If you're live scoping, if you're not live scoping, I'd say stick to that 10 to 15 foot of water, bounce around the timber, fish no deeper than half of whatever depth of water you're in. And baits really haven't made a difference, or really ain't been a huge subject for me. We've been running hair jigs, plastics, anything in a natural color. You get something shad or minnow like, you're gonna catch fish. That's pretty much all you need for the upper end right now to be successful. successful. Just cover ground and keep fishing.
That goes for the upper Osage and the upper Grand. A lot of people, you say the upper end of the lake, they have no idea what you're talking about. I get these questions all the time. What do you mean main lake? What do you mean as far as the upper end? When you say upper end, that's like the upper third of the lake. Then you got the middle section, kind of Bucksaw down a little ways. It's kind of the middle section. Berry Bend up to, say, Fox Run is your middle section on the Osage. Anything above Fox Run's pretty much your upper end. Tally Bend area, Sparrowfoot, deep water, back to Bucksaw is your upper end of the Grand. The main lake is everything from the dam up to like Berry Bend, up past Long Shoal. That's still your main lake, your big water basically. Well, as soon as it starts narrowing up a little bit, that's when you start getting into your upper ends. Except for Sparrowfoot, that's real wide and flat up there. But that's still your upper end. It's a shallow end of the lake. Most of you guys probably watch my Facebook posts. I have bounced around all over the place this last couple weeks catfishing. I haven't done any crappie fishing. I have seen loads and loads and loads of crappie all over the place. All your creeks on Lake of the Ozarks, crappie are staged up in the middle of them. A few guys spider rigging down there, just tearing them up. A few guys live scoping, tearing them up. It's just like he was talking about up on the upper end of Truman. You know, they're all from start of that creek mouth and work your way back halfway, you're going to find them. A few of them smaller pockets, them crappie are in the back of, because a lot of them smaller pockets on Lake of the Ozarks and the main lake are deeper. So them fish are still going to be in that depth range, but they're going to be towards the back of it if them pockets are deeper. They're kind of going by depth right now, more so from what I've seen than exactly where they're at. They are going to be in them pockets and creeks though. There's a few still hanging on the bluffs, but not near as many. The water temperature is already on the upper end 54, 55 degrees. Lower end yesterday I had 48. I catfished the main lake yesterday, had an awesome bite. Had big fish, was about 45 pounds, had another over, bunch of really good eaters. We probably caught close to 50 fish yesterday. I fished Lake of the Ozarks some this last week. It's been on fire. They did drop it down. There was a good creek bite going on about a week ago. That's why I ain't put out a report. The water's been dropping quite a bit. Fishing's been changing. When that happens, I can put out a fishing report. It's going to be different the next day. You just got to be on the water a lot, kind of know the change. Truman's dropped. It's 1.5 feet low now where it was high. Them fish have moved a little bit because of that, not much. Them fish have pulled out of your shallows, catfish wise, for the most part. They're more creek mouths, shallower flats and ledges, stuff like that. Find a creek, go just below it on the ledge, it's going to have fish pretty much. Fresh cut shad, everybody always asks, what do I use for bait? Fresh cut shad's the best. Second best is probably frozen shad or some frozen perch, fresh perch. That's pretty well all I will use on Truman Lake. Austin, he even fished that upper end of the Grand a little bit, catfishing up there. He don't catfish, and he still caught them, tore them up there. So, you know, that bite's still good. You just got to put in the time and find them. There have been a few big fish caught up there. I had a 58 on Lake of the Ozarks last week. Had a 41. Had just piles of big fish in the last week and a half. There was a tournament on bottom end of Lake of the Ozarks. There were several big fish caught in it. So it's time right now to catch them big ones. And numbers of eaters. It just depends on what you want to catch. So I'm going to talk real quick about something new I come up with. I was talking about maybe trying to get it patented, but I decided not to. I don't have time to really mess with it, don't have time to make them. This last week, all I've done, get home from the bait shop and from guiding and sit at home and make these things, try to get them shipped out to people I know. Most of you guys know I try to stick to as simple as it can get catfishing wise. I've tried them demon dragons, walking baits, all that stuff. I've caught fish on them. I don't catch the numbers of smaller fish on them, but I do catch the bigger fish and get a more aggressive bite. So I've never had the best of luck with them. Normally I do better with just a bigger float to float that bait up when I do fish that style, like a Santee Cooper rig. But I come out with something that keeps that bait making noise, keeps vibrations in the water, puts a flash to it. I know this thing's going to be all over before long, so I'm just going to put it out there. I do have about 70 of them made in the shop right now. I got some I've got to get shipped out here this next couple of days. So last week I fished it in the current a little bit. It done absolutely awesome. I have not got to try it dragging bait yet. Our water's still a little bit too cold for that, but it's gonna do awesome for that too. So here's what I got. It's just your floating shad. I put a buzz bait blade on the back of it. That thing spins real good. Makes noise, vibrations all the time. That thing rattling will keep that spinning, keeps that rattling in the water. Last week I had some of the biggest bites I have ever had catfishing here. Always watch the videos. I never fished the big rivers or nothing. You know, I'm a lake fisherman. A little bit of current on Lake Ozarks, not a lot unless they're running floodgates, unless we get a big flood. I always watch the big Missouri River takedowns and some of them big rivers where them fish just smash them rods in there and you can't hardly get the rod out. You got to back the drag off. Last week was the first time I've ever got to see that here using these. I had numerous fish we had to back the drags off to get the rod out of the rod holder last week. So that's kind of cool. Just that little bit of extra noise, vibration, and flash kind of made them fish hit a lot more aggressive pretty well. All we caught was big fish on it. We caught a few eaters on them, but it was mostly all, 15 pounds or bigger. So that's kind of cool. I will have them in the shop while I can get them made. I will probably not do a whole lot of shipping on them on small orders. Pretty well everything I've shipped now has been a dozen. So, what you might have to wait on them. It might take me a little bit to get them made. Right now I'm just doing silver. It's a glitter silver, kind of show you guys. Some of them do have eyes, some of them don't. It didn't matter. I was making some in glow. I will say the ones I made in glow, the catfish was hitting them instead of the bait more. Don't really know why, but they was completely getting tore up. So I kind of went back to just the bright, shiny white and the shiny silver. Yesterday I did have one of them come off I broke it off and it floated up. I watched about 20 seagulls try to grab it. So if that looks good enough for a seagull to try to grab it, several of them even picked it up and then dropped it. So if it looks good enough for that, it's going to look good enough for a fish to eat it. So that's about all I've got on that. We're going to mention Spoonbill real quick on Truman. I'll mention them on Lake Ozarks from what I've seen. And then that's going to pretty well wrap up this show today. So I'm going to let Austin mention the live scope part of it here real quick.
Well, Spoonbill for live scoping, obviously I've done since 2018, and without really giving you guys all my spots, I try to focus, on shallow water, chasing these spoonbill that are getting spooked and running from, like say Cody.
Running for me.
Mainly Cody, before by each other. Spoonbill, once a boat goes over them, they're getting blown out a lot. They blow up the banks, etc.
They are extremely spookish to divers, for people that didn't know that.
Yeah, they can run, and that's just all there is to it. Biggest thing with live scope, I get a lot of questions with live scope and spoonbill. Can you sit on a fish? Can you do this? 90% of the fish you're going to be catching, you're not sitting on any spoonbill. Spoonbill are always, for me, the ones I'm chasing shallower, they're always moving. They're constantly, constantly getting spooked that time of year. You got so many boats in 45 days pushing around. They're either chasing current or they're running from a boat. They're moving. They're traveling. If you want a live scope spoonbill, you have to be able to control a boat most of the time on Truman. Lake the Ozarks, some deep pockets. Even on Truman, I've seen some that are down in a pocket. They're going to be harder fish to catch for you normally. on live scope. I really key on just outside them deep pockets. You see a lot of boats. Normally, I'm stopping there. A lot of people will probably think opposite. A lot of boats get away from them. Yes and no. For diver guys, yeah, sometimes I probably would, just because them fish are going to be a lot shallower. Like Cody said, it's harder to get some of them divers up 2 foot under the surface.
Them shallower fish with divers, you will spook a lot of them. They are really hard to catch if they're real shallow. You can, even planing them divers out, you've got to run your boat really fast to get them fish hooked up. If you're just running at normal speed in that shallower water, you're probably not going to catch your fish. They're going to blow way out away from that boat before you ever even get your lines to them. I know last year, me and Chad Short, we was both fishing some shallower water. A lot of that, even Anthony Ford, he was fishing some shallower water down on Lake Ozarks while we was doing it up on Truman. You was having to run really fast to manage to get over the top of them fish before they would blow out. So when they do blow out, that's when the live scope guys can really capitalize off of it. So as far as trolling divers, y'all can come in the shop. We've got cheap divers, we've got the square divers. We'll have the spoony divers in here probably this week. We've got the regular Dipsy diver brand. That's all preference. I would still run the regular Dipsy diver brand because they all run exactly the same and they don't break near as easy as the cheaper ones do. As far as fish migration, fish ain't up yet. You just have to go to where the fish are. I tell people that every year, and some people look at me like I'm stupid. Some people actually go try to find them. Then fish will be further down the lake early in the season. Later in the season, they'll be further up the lake. This year's going to be completely different. Even us guides, we don't know what to expect for this year because our water temperature is 10 degrees warmer. I've been down to the 40-mile marker on Lake Ozarks in the last 2 weeks. I'd seen fish absolutely scattered the whole way. I didn't see nothing schooled up really below the 60. From the 40 to 60 is normally big schools of fish this time of year. Them fish are scattered all over the place with no current flow. They're just scattered out. I did see some good schools further upriver. Up around the dam, it looks like it's May right now with all the spoonbill. Where you can't snag. Above the 65 bridge, there's just millions of them up there. So last Sunday we had a ton of wind, so I put my boat in at Osceola, looked up in the river. There was spoonbill absolutely all over. It was hard to catfish from all the spoonbill getting wrapped up in our lines. So my suggestion, if you guys are trying to figure out where to start at, wherever you would start in the middle of spoonbill season is where you need to start this weekend. Don't go. There will be a few fish where you normally go that haven't migrated up yet, but a lot of them fish have already moved. I've got some friends that live down on the Niangua, crappie fish down there and stuff. That's a really good area for great big spoonbill fish over 100 pounds. Several of them said a lot of them fish have already moved up in the rivers down there. And that's kind of what we're seeing on Truman. I had a friend put a trout line in all the way up at Roscoe. He had to pull it out because he was getting spoonbill on his line. I think 2 days he said he had 7 spoonbill get on his line up at Roscoe, so he had to pull it out. Them fish are definitely moving. The couple that we did have get hooked up in our lines up in Osceola, them fish, as soon as I seen them getting a line, that fish was screaming drag headed upriver as hard as they could go. There's just enough current coming in that Meridazine over in Kansas. I guess it's coming out of Hillsdale or somewhere over there. That it's telling them fish which direction to go. So Lake Ozarks ain't got much current. I think they're supposed to get a turbine going for the walleye spawn here pretty quick if they haven't already. That will put them fish back going directional down there, tell them which way to go to try to spawn. For some of you that don't know, our spoonbill here, Truman does have a little bit of natural reproduction. At Niangua Arma, Lake Ozarks, they think it might have a little bit, but it has not been proved yet. Pretty well all the Lake of the Ozarks fish now are man-made fish. They're all ones raised in a hatchery. Truman, most of them are still hatchery fish, but there is, I guess, some friends that live over in Kansas. They said they see the baby spoonbill up there come summertime. They see a few of them. So there is a little bit of natural reproduction up there. But that's about all I've got for you guys. You got anything else you want to add, Austin?
Not really. Just don't be snagging the live scope. Don't be afraid to get shallow. You can't ever get too shallow.
Yeah.
Biggest advice I can give you.
I watched him a couple of times last year. He'd pitch over a fish and literally set the hook on it, and that fish would skyrocket out of the water. I'm talking like 3-4 foot of water. It was pretty cool to watch that. I will admit that. Them fish, you know, they're there just to get away from people.
They come alive.
They go nuts when you set the hook in one of them. I watched one of them last year. It skipped like 3 times going out across the water when they set the hook on it. So that's pretty cool to see. You know, fish are going to be moving fast right now. That's all I've got to say. I don't know what this next week's going to bring. We got some rain coming in now. That's going to put a little bit of current back in the water. So hopefully we get enough they can run a little bit of water, get them fish back on the move. So it might hurt you guys on the lower end of Lake of the Ozarks, but you know, they just got to come up further. So we'll see what happens. Time will tell. I appreciate it, y'all. Thanks for tuning in. Get them kids out there fishing. Get them brought in the bait shop in our tournament. That's all I've got for you. I appreciate it. Thanks for tuning in. That's all I've got. Thank you.